right, welcome to Pillar 2, Metabolic Repair. If you're up to this stage, then what you will have constructed already is your navigation system. You are clear on exactly what the facts are inside of your body right now and how they're influencing the way you feel and function on a daily basis. And you also understand how the way you feel and function is affecting you and your family or the people around you. The other side to that is you should also be very clear on where you're going. So what facts must be true inside of your body for you to know that you've reached your goal, and how reaching that is going to influence the way you feel and function and the people around you and yourself and in your daily lives. Knowing those 2 points is essential. It's critical. It's something you're going to need to know at every step along this journey, because you're going to reach points where there will be resistance to sacrifice something, or resistance to say no to something that you usually say yes to. And it's in those moments you need to have that navigation system. Now, you're human, you will go off track from time to time. And if you do, and you feel resistance from either yourself internally, so you're lacking motivation, or you're feeling resistance from the people around you, like they're influencing you in a way that is taking you away from your goals, then what you need to do is you need to go back to that first pillar. That first pillar is something that I'm going to use with you if you're coaching with me to really keep driving you forward. Essentially it's the engine behind all of this that makes you move. Okay, so with that all said, what we're going to do in this pillar is we're going to get very clear on what your metabolism is doing. I'm going to teach you what your postpartum metabolism is, and you're probably going to have some aha moments inside of this video, explaining maybe some of the things that you're experiencing, such as you're getting older or with more pregnancy, why it's actually harder to see the positive benefits from exercise and nutrition, and why you can't get away with what you used to get away with when you were younger. I'm going to help you classify your metabolism so you know on an individual level what your metabolism is doing and what you can expect from that metabolism through this journey, and how long it's going to take you to achieve results. We're going to look at your metabolic blockers. I'm going to show you some ways to flick the repair switch, right? So what I mean by that is when your body's in a state of stress, you're not going to receive the positive benefits, or you're not going to receive the potential positive benefits from your efforts. So if you really want to use your time effectively, you want to get the best possible bang from your buck when it comes to exercise and nutrition, this step is critical. Okay, and by the end of this pillar, you'll have constructed yourself a simple repair ritual that you can implement every single day for you to flick that repair switch on, so that when you do get to pillar 3 and pillar 4, you're going to get the best bang for buck, and you're not going to have to do extra work to get that best possible result. So with all of that said, let's dive into this first lesson, the postpartum metabolism. Okay, so for me to explain to you the postpartum metabolism, the first thing that I need to explain to you is, well, what your metabolism is. See, there's a lot of misinformation that goes around about metabolism. The first thing that often tends to get thrown around quite a fair bit is whether or not you have a fast or a slow metabolism. And in this argument, a lot of people say, oh, I wish I had a slow metabolism, or I wish I had a fast metabolism. I wish I could lose weight as well as that woman over there, or I wish I could get away with what she could get away with. And we use all of those kinds of terms, right? This is incorrect. You don't have a fast or a slow metabolism. You either have an efficient one or an inefficient metabolism. An inefficient metabolism is a metabolism that doesn't quite utilize the energy that produces effectively, or it doesn't quite produce energy effectively. Okay. The second piece of misinformation that goes around about your metabolism is you're either born with it or you're stuck with it. You're neither born with it or stuck with it. Yes, you have some genetic predispositions at birth, but as you age, you experience environments, and those environments have a far greater impact in your metabolism as you age, which is what I'm going to explain to you as this lesson goes on. Now, you're neither born with it or stuck with it, and it's neither fast or slow. What it is, though, is it can be broken up into 2 parts. First of all, there's the basal metabolic rate. You might have heard of the BMR before? That's essentially what it is. Now, what this quantifies or tries to quantify is the energy that your body uses to stay alive every day. So to stay alive, your body needs to power its heart, brain, and other vital organs. The other part to this is activity. And this is where things can go a little haywire. There's a lot of information that goes around about how many calories you can burn in a minute or in a workout, how many calories are in a certain piece of food, and how much exercise you need to do to burn that off. When it comes to tracking energy via the use of calories, it's actually quite ineffective by up to 30%. Why is this? Well, calories is a 150-year-old science. So we haven't been studying it very long, and it hasn't actually been very well studied in that 150 years. So to determine calories in food, basically what scientists do is burn that piece of food, and for how long that flame burns and the brightness that it burns and so forth, they can determine how much energy is within that food. Now, with that said, there can be more calories in a piece of food that has been cooked compared to when it's raw and so forth. So trying to quantify the amount of energy that you burn every single day to keep yourself alive, and then trying to quantify the amount of energy that you burn every single day to keep up with the activity that you do on a daily basis is quite hard. So with that said, it's not necessarily something that you should even try to do, especially as you start to move on in this journey. What you'll notice is you don't actually need to. What you need to do is you need to understand the influences that are on your metabolism. Now, if I drew a pie chart and showed you what influenced your metabolism, the major ones you'd see would be these here. And as you can see, there's a very small sliver, which only really accounts for the smallest percentage of 5%. Then you'll have another small piece, which is 12%, another 17%, and then this massive piece over here. These are all influences on your metabolism. So if we determine that your metabolism is the complex chemical reactions that occur inside of your body every single day, then these things here will influence that. That 5% is body temp regulation. So body temp regulation includes shivering when it's cold, sweating when it's warm. This is to keep your body temperature at 36.5 to 37.5 degrees. Not necessarily something you can improve, and even if you did, it would only provide a very small amount of difference. So when it comes to the myths of, wrapping yourself in cling wrap and sitting in a sauna, or some of the other crazy ones that boxers do to drop weight, you can see how there's not a huge reward for the effort that you have to put in. So moving forward from there's a few other pieces of pie on that chart. I'm going to move your attention now to the 17%. The 17% over here, have a little guess for me while I color it in on what might influence the 17%. You might be surprised to learn that exercise will only ever account to up to 17% of your daily energy expenditure. So what that means is no matter how hard you train or how long you train or how many times you train in a day, you'll only ever have about a 17% impact on your total day or your total week. Okay, so this shows exactly why the FitMum method starts here with repair rather than starting with an exercise program. The other influence that is on the screen before we get to the big one is the 12%. And with the 12%, you might also be surprised to realize that you can have just about the same impact on your metabolism with eating good, nutritious food as you would with having a really great workout. So when it comes to trying to quantify the importance of exercise and nutrition, they're both equally important. Now, they're only equally important if they do one thing. And here's where a lot of mums will get it wrong. They'll get it wrong because they will follow what the industry has always followed, and that is eating less and exercising more. The problem is when you're in a state of stress and you try to eat less and exercise more, it starts to create more stress. And it also gets in the way of this thing here over here. Now, what might you think that is? Have a guess for me. If you guessed muscle, then you would be correct. So the muscle that you carry around in your body and the amount that you have will have the largest impact on your metabolism. Now, here's the thing. As you age and with each pregnancy, you lose muscle, okay? You lose muscle. And muscle is pretty important. First of all, it moves us. Second of all, it also houses energy. So you may be fully aware that the body fat on your body is energy, but think of that as the logs that you put on a fire for a slow burn. If you want energy now, then your body's going to tap into the energy stores that are stored within the muscle. So if you need to sprint, jump, climb, if you need to do something reactive, which a lot of mums need to do, then you're going to tap into the energy stores that you have in your muscle. And if you don't have energy stores in your muscle, or you don't have enough muscle, then what you'll experience is fatigue. In fact, there are direct links between the amount of glycogen that you store inside of your muscles and chronic fatigue. So muscle's pretty important. And finally, what muscle will also do is it stores the fuel for your immune system. So that is glutamine. It's an amino acid that's readily available in your diet if you eat meat, and it's readily available inside of your body as well. Now, your body's constantly drawing from these reserves to fight off infection and disease. If you're not replacing that, then you will go into what's called a negative protein balance for the day, and you'll lose a little bit of muscle, albeit maybe 10 grams. But over time, that adds up, and what it can add up to is quite a big amount of muscle loss. The average Australian adult can expect to lose up to 2.5 kilos of muscle over a decade after the age of 30 and replace that with 5 kilos of fat. Now, it's that age-related muscle loss that also sped up by pregnancy that underlies a lot of the things that you associate with getting older, such as poor mobility, a weakened immune system, lack of energy. All of those things come off the back of this muscle loss. So it makes sense that if you want to improve those things, if you want to feel better every single day and function better every single day, what needs to happen is this here needs to go up. Your muscle mass needs to improve, or at least maintain. Okay, it needs to stay the same. It can't go negative. As soon as it starts going negative, that's where you start to experience those bad side effects of aging, right? Even to a hormonal level. So when you're talking about hair, skin, nails, moods, stress, anxiety, depression, all of that stuff is influenced as well, which you'll start to see in the lessons as we go along. So with that information there, what can we do to improve the muscle? You can't go and start adding slabs of muscle. You can't go to a shop, buy it, and then add it to your body. You can't inject it. A doctor can't do it at a skin corrective center. All you can do is you can control these two things over here, what you eat and how you exercise. I'm going to call these short-term influences. These short-term influences will ultimately contribute to the long-term influence, which is this one here, long-term muscle. Okay, the short-term influences must be focused on improving the long-term. If they're not, then it's wasted effort and you're only focusing on a very small part of the pie chart. So this explains why there are so many programs out there that are ineffective, especially as you get older and you have more babies. They become less and less effective because they're focusing on eating less and exercising more. They're focusing on the cardio, and they're not focusing on effective strategies to build muscle. So for a program to be effective, what it needs to do is it needs to improve three things. It needs to improve your body composition. That is how much muscle compared to how much fat you have. It needs to improve your energy levels. And it needs to improve your health. Now, you've maybe done programs in the past where you've seen some body shape changes that are desirable, but you may have found that you're lacking energy and you'll run down. Or you may have even gotten to a point where your period has stopped. This happens in extreme cases, and irregular cycles. This is erring onto the edge of impacts on health. When an exercise program or a diet has a negative impact on any one of these things here, it becomes unsustainable. So the focus needs to clearly be on improving all three of these things here on the screen. And that is how you repair your postpartum metabolism, by focusing on improving your body composition in a way that improves your health and your energy levels at the same time. And that is exactly what you're going to be doing inside of the Fit Mum method. So the next lesson is to complete your own metabolic assessment. Move on to that lesson now, watch the video, and then complete your metabolic assessment so that you can clearly see exactly what is happening on an individual level inside of your body.